Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be exploring natural ways to boost your mood. And we've got this pretty interesting source to help us out. It's called Mejora tu estado de ánimo.txt. It sounds kind of mysterious, right?
I know, right?
We're going to be uncovering some actionable insights from this source that can actually help all of you feel better and to understand the science behind it all.
It really is amazing how much we're learning these days about all the factors that influence our mood. And this source dives right into one of the most important ones, serotonin.
Serotonin. It's a word we hear a lot, but I'm always curious to learn more.
Well, it's really fascinating. You can think of serotonin as like a calming, stabilizing force in your brain. It helps regulate your mood. But here's the thing. Our modern high-stress lives, they can really deplete our serotonin levels.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're constantly bombarded with things that can throw us off balance.
Exactly. And the source points out that low serotonin can actually lead to a whole cascade of problems, from emotional outbursts to even, believe it or not, getting sick more easily.
Yeah. Wow. So it's not just about feeling happy. It's about our overall well-being.
Absolutely. And to make things even more challenging, the source explains that chronic stress actually creates this vicious cycle. Stress depletes serotonin, which then makes us even more susceptible to stress, and so on and so on.
Oh, so it's like this downward spiral we need to break free from. But I'm curious, why do some people struggle with low serotonin in the first place?
That's a great question. Well, the source outlines a few key reasons. One of the most important is protein intake.
Protein. What's the connection there?
Well, protein provides the building blocks for serotonin.
Sure.
When we eat protein, our bodies break it down into amino acids, and one of those is called tryptophan.
Tryptophan. That rings a bell.
Yeah, it's often mentioned around Thanksgiving because it's found in turkey and, associated with that feeling of sleepiness after a big meal. But tryptophan is crucial year-round because it's the raw material our brains need to produce serotonin.
So if we're not eating enough protein, we might not have enough tryptophan to make sufficient serotonin.
That's interesting. It is. But the source also highlights that even if you're eating enough protein, you might not be absorbing it properly, which means that tryptophan isn't getting where it needs to go.
So what affects protein absorption?
Well, one factor is stomach acidity. If your stomach isn't acidic enough, it won't break down protein as efficiently. Think of it like having all the ingredients for a cake. But a broken oven, you can't bake it properly.
That's a great analogy.
And another factor that can hinder tryptophan absorption is insulin resistance.
Insulin resistance. I've heard that term, but don't really understand what it means.
Yeah, it's basically a condition where your cells don't respond to insulin as well as they should. Insulin is a hormone that helps your body use glucose for energy. And when there's resistance, it creates a sort of traffic jam in your system.
And this traffic jam affects tryptophan.
Exactly. It prevents tryptophan from getting to where it needs to go to make serotonin. The source points out that this is especially relevant for people who struggle with weight issues or consume a lot of carbohydrates, because those factors can contribute to insulin resistance.
So we've got these potential roadblocks to serotonin production. Not enough protein, poor absorption due to low stomach acidity, and insulin resistance. But then there's the stress piece, too.
Yes, it all ties back to that cycle we talked about.
Yeah.
Chronic stress depletes serotonin, leaving us more vulnerable to stress. And the cycle continues.
Okay, so we've got a good understanding of why serotonin is so important and some of the reasons why we might be running low. But what can we actually do about it? This is what I'm really curious about.
Well, there's actually quite a bit we can do, and that's what we're going to dive into next.
Awesome. I'm excited to learn more. So we've uncovered some of the challenges to maintaining healthy serotonin levels. But this source also offers some really practical solutions. It even suggests trying tryptophan supplements.
Yeah, that's right. It can be a really helpful approach, especially if you're concerned about getting enough tryptophan through your diet alone. Supplementation can bypass some of those absorption issues we were talking about and, give your serotonin production a little boost.
So it's like giving your body the raw materials it needs to make those feel-good chemicals. I like that. The source also mentions vitamin B3, and it links low levels of it to depression. I didn't realize there was a connection there.
It's a fascinating link, and the key seems to be the role of vitamin B3 in energy production.
Yeah.
When you think about it, fatigue is often a major symptom of low mood. So increasing your intake of vitamin B3 could help address that low energy component.
That makes a lot of sense. And it seems like B vitamins in general are important for mood and brain function. The source mentions B1, B6, B12. It's like a whole B vitamin family supporting our mental well-being.
Exactly. They all play, different but essential roles in keeping our brains functioning optimally. But Now, let's dive into one of the most intriguing areas of research, the gut-brain connection.
Yes. This is something I've been hearing more and more about. It seems like our gut bacteria have a surprising amount of influence on how we feel.
It really is remarkable. This source describes this incredible communication pathway between our gut and our brain. And guess what the key messenger molecule is?
Let me guess. Serotonin.
You got it. It's like our gut and brain are having a constant conversation, and serotonin is the language they use to communicate.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So are you saying that the types of bacteria in our gut can affect our serotonin levels?
Precisely, and that can have a profound impact on our mood. The source even highlights specific bacteria, like Lactobacillus rhamnosus, which have been shown to increase serotonin production in the gut.
So it's like having little serotonin factories living in our intestines.
Exactly, and this is where probiotics come in. Taking probiotics that contain these beneficial bacteria can help create a more balanced gut ecosystem, leading to greater production of those mood-boosting neurotransmitters.
That's incredible. So by nurturing our gut health, we can actually influence our mood. But what happens when there's an imbalance in the gut?
That's a crucial point. The source points out that an overgrowth of harmful bacteria in the gut can actually disrupt this communication pathway between the gut and the brain, potentially contributing to feelings of low mood and even depression.
It really highlights the importance of a healthy gut microbiome for our overall well-being. It's not just about digestion. It's about our mental and emotional health, too. But you mentioned that it's not just about serotonin. What other neurotransmitters are involved in this gut-brain connection?
Well, a balanced gut microbiome is like a neurotransmitter powerhouse,
Right.
producing other beneficial substances as well. The source specifically mentions GABA, acetylcholine, and even dopamine.
Wow. So it's like a whole team of neurochemicals working together to keep us feeling good. What do these other neurotransmitters do?
Each one plays a unique role. GABA is known for promoting relaxation and better sleep. Acetylcholine is involved in focus memory and learning. And then there's dopamine, which is all about motivation, reward, and our response to stress. A healthy gut can support the production of all of these, which is pretty amazing.
That's incredible. I'm starting to see how everything is interconnected. But then the source introduces this concept of curcumin. This sounds a little intimidating.
It's not as complicated as it might sound. Essentially, when tryptophan breaks down, it creates these molecules called kynurenins. What's interesting is that they can have both positive and negative effects on the brain.
So it's like a double-edged sword. What determines whether they have a beneficial or harmful effect?
That's where things get really fascinating. One of the key factors is exercise. The source explains that when we engage in physical activity, our muscles actually signal our digestive system to eliminate the negative kynurenins.
So exercise not only benefits our physical health, it also helps maintain a healthy balance of these kynurenins and promotes a positive mood.
Exactly. It reinforces that mind-body connection we've been talking about. But here's another surprising mood booster the source dives into. Fasting.
Fasting,
Yeah.
really. I usually associate fasting with hunger pangs, not exactly a recipe for happiness.
I know it seems counterintuitive, but the source explains that when you fast, it creates a change in your internal environment, and your body responds in fascinating ways. For instance, fasting increases the production of two hormones, orexin and ghrelin.
Okay, and what do those hormones do?
Well, they increase alertness and focus. And eventually, this leads to the release of dopamine, which, as we know, is a key player in feeling good.
So it's like fasting jumpstarts this cascade of brain activity that ultimately leads to a mood boost.
Exactly. And that's not all. This source also mentions that fasting releases endorphins, those natural mood boosters and pain relievers.
Wow, so you're getting a double dose of feel-good chemicals with fasting. Dopamine, A and D, endorphins, it's starting to make sense now.
And there's even more. Fasting also increases a protein called BDNF, which is crucial for the growth of new brain cells, especially in an area of the brain called the hippocampus, which is often affected in depression.
BDNF. Remind me what that does again.
Think of it as fertilizer for your brain. It helps those brain cells thrive and make new connections, which is essential for learning memory and overall cognitive function. The source suggests that by increasing BDNF, fasting could be supporting a healthier, more resilient brain.
That's amazing. Yeah. It seems like fasting has a much broader impact on our well-being than I realized.
It really does. And to add to the list of benefits, the source even mentions that fasting can increase serotonin production. It's like a triple whammy of mood-boosting effects.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued by this fasting thing now. But before we move on, the source also mentions a whole bunch of other substances that can boost mood. It's like a treasure chest of natural remedies.
It really is. There's so much to explore, and it's exciting to see the growing body of research highlighting these natural ways to support mental well-being. Where should we start?
So many fascinating mood boosters to explore. What else did this source uncover?
Well, we've got some familiar friends in this lineup, starting with omega-3 fatty acids. The source highlights their mood-boosting properties. But what's really interesting is that omega-3s may actually enhance the effectiveness of antidepressants.
Really? That's incredible. So it's like they're giving those medications a helping hand.
Exactly. It suggests that omega-3s could be a valuable addition to a holistic approach to mood management, particularly for those considering medication.
That's good to know. Now, what about inulin and other prebiotics? I'm familiar with them being good for gut health, but the source suggests they also have an antidepressant effect.
That's what some research suggests. While the mechanisms aren't fully understood, it's likely due to their positive impact on the gut microbiome. Remember how we were talking about all those beneficial bacteria? Prebiotics help them flourish, which could lead to a greater production of mood-boosting neurotransmitters.
That makes sense. Okay, now for something that caught my eye. Curcumin. Isn't that the active compound in turmeric?
Yes, it is. And the source mentions that curcumin can boost mood by increasing BDNF, that brain-boosting protein we discussed earlier. It also has an impact on other mood-regulating substances, making it a real powerhouse for mental well-being.
I'm adding turmeric to my shopping list as we speak. What else is in this mood-boosting lineup?
Well, there's creatine, which many people associate with athletic performance. But the source points out its potential antidepressant effects as well. The exact mechanisms are still being explored, but it's an interesting avenue for research.
So hitting the gym could be a double whammy for mood. Exercise and creatine boosting those happy chemicals.
Exactly. And beyond mood, creatine has a range of cognitive benefits. The source also emphasizes that it's much safer than some people believe, and its potential benefits extend far beyond muscle building.
Good to know. Okay, now for something a little more exotic. Lion's mane mushroom. I've heard of it. But what's the connection to mood?
Lion's mane is fascinating. It contains compounds that promote neuron growth, and studies have shown it can reduce depressive symptoms.
That's amazing. It's like giving your brain a hug. What about the last item on the list?
The source concludes with choline, which is found in foods like egg yolks. Choline is quite a multitasker. It supports liver function, boosts BDNF production, and promotes new neuron growth in the hippocampus.
Wow, that's impressive. So choline could potentially improve mood and protect against age-related memory decline.
That's the idea. It's really fascinating how these everyday nutrients can have such a profound impact on our brain health and well-being.
It's been incredible uncovering this arsenal of natural mood boosters, from everyday foods and supplements to fascinating mushrooms. But the source doesn't just focus on the physical stuff. It also highlights the power of our minds in shaping our mood.
That's a crucial point. The source reminds us that our brains are constantly interpreting our experiences and releasing neurotransmitters accordingly. If we're dwelling on negative thoughts, we're essentially training our brains to produce more stress chemicals and deplete those feel-good ones.
But the reverse is also true, right? If we focus on the positive, we can shift our brain chemistry toward a happier state.
Absolutely. It's about making a conscious effort to cultivate an attitude of gratitude and appreciation. When we view the world through a more positive lens, our brains respond by releasing those feel-good chemicals, reinforcing those positive beliefs.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of happiness. We have the power to create a more positive internal environment simply by changing our focus.
Exactly. It's not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing to focus on the good, to find those silver linings, and to believe in our ability to navigate life's ups and downs with resilience.
This deep dive has been an amazing journey. I feel like I have a whole new toolkit for boosting my mood naturally.
Me too. It's been a pleasure exploring these insights with you.
Yeah.
But the real journey begins now. It's about taking this knowledge and putting it into action.
What small change can you make this week to boost your mood naturally? Perhaps it's adding more protein to your meals, trying a new probiotic, incorporating turmeric into your cooking, or simply taking a few minutes each day to practice gratitude.
Remember, even small changes can lead to big shifts. And as you start to experience those positive changes in your mood, it can create a ripple effect, positively impacting every aspect of your life. Keep seeking out those natural ways to brighten your day. You have the power within you to cultivate a happier, healthier you.